Imagine this, an MMO where you can play through 8 fully voiced RPG campaigns, flirt with your crewmates, and make light side or dark side choices that actually comes back to haunt you. This is a full-on MMO from 2011, Star Wars: The Old Republic. And today we're diving into one question. Is Star Wars: The Old Republic a forgotten masterpiece, or is it one of gaming's biggest what could have been stories? And most importantly, should you even bother playing it in 2025? Well, I'm Elaine from Destructoid, and let's talk about it. When the game launched back in December 2011, the pitch was basically, what if we make Knights of the Old Republic massive and online? This wasn't just World of Warcraft with lightsabers, no. BioWare went all in on cinematic presentation. Every quest fully voiced.
Everyone there could be a target.
I prefer life in the shadows. It lasts longer.
Every class its own storyline. That was unheard of back then, and still a rarity now. But here's the problem. MMOs live and die by their endgame grind, so Star Wars: The Old Republic had a choice. Double down on its story magic or build the endless content treadmill that most MMO veterans expect. Well, they tried to do both, and that little tug-of-war thing happening, it still defines the game. In 2023, the game switched hands from BioWare EA to Broadsword Online Games. They've been quietly putting out updates from 7.5 to 7.7.1, which just dropped on July 30 this year. So no, the game isn't dead. It's just aging like a Jedi in exile. Still alive, still kicking, just not in the spotlight. The real magic trick here though is the story. Star Wars: The Old Republic has 8 class stories. Jedi Knight, Jedi Consular, Sith Warrior, Sith Inquisitor, Smuggler, Trooper, Bounty Hunter, and Imperial Agent. Each has its own vibe, villains, plot twist, and companions. And yes, you still get the BioWare dialogue wheel, morality choices, and companion approval system. It's all part of the package. And the presentation? Fully voiced cinematic dialogue for every quest. Even in 2025, that's pretty impressive. The move to a 64-bit client in 2023 made the game run smoother on modern PCs, so it's aged better than you'd expect. However, it's still not perfect. Some planetary arcs drag, and later expansions pivoted away from strictly class-specific arcs. After your class finale, the main story becomes more faction or Outlander focused. But at its best, Star Wars: The Old Republic delivers writing that somehow rivals even some of the movies. And by movies, I mean the sequels. At launch, hype was off the charts. People were calling it the World of Warcraft killer. And yeah, that didn't happen. Leveling up, pretty incredible. The endgame though, it is quite familiar. Star Wars: The Old Republic shipped with dungeons known as flashpoints and raids known as operations. But your personal class story, the thing that made the early game magical, pretty much stopped after Chapter 3. The treadmill became weekly tokens, loot tiers, PvP grinds, but to its credit, there were cool side modes too. First up was War Zones, which was the glorious chaos of Huttball. Then we have Galactic Starfighter, which is a surprisingly fun free flight space PvP mode from 2014. And lastly, Strongholds, which are player housing with full customization, plus massive guild flagships. So why did some players leave? Well, the operations was slow in its release pace, PvP balance was shifting around. Meanwhile, the combat, while it is functional, it felt like we were stuck in 2011. But Star Wars: The Old Republic did evolve by a little bit. Combat styles, which were added in 7.0, lets you pick any combat kit you want, separate from your class story. So if you want a Jedi swinging a double-bladed staff, you can go for it. Then they added loadouts, which makes swapping builds fairly quick and efficient. And lastly is the Galactic Seasons, which is basically every game's battle pass. It rotates weekly challenges and cosmetics to keep you logging in between story updates. So when it comes to leveling and story, it's chef's kiss. But when it comes to endgame, it's pretty solid, but it isn't really groundbreaking. Star Wars The Old Republic launched in 2011 as a sub-only MMO, but by late 2012 they'd gone free-to-play and added the cartel market. Now that move saved the entire game's player base, but it also introduced some restrictions that players still debate today. If you play for free, you can do all 8 class stories and get early expansions up to about level 60, but you'll deal with some annoyances. You get fewer quick bars, storage limits, and GTN restrictions. Subscribers, on the other hand, get all expansions, more convenience, monthly cartel coins, and no major restrictions. And the cartel market? Well, it's mostly cosmetic, outfits, mounts, dyes, emotes, some FOMO stuff, but no direct pay to win. So if you're just here for the story, my advice, sub for a month or 2. Blast through those expansions and treat the cartel market as your personal Star Wars fashion show. If you want to stay free to play, then that's not bad too. So here's the big one. Is Star Wars The Old Republic still worth playing right now? Honestly, yes, especially if you're in it for the story. So here are the good and the bad. The first one is, it is still the only MMO where your choices feel personal and fully voiced. Plus, the Knights of the Fallen Empire era showed that they can do near single-player storytelling at an MMO scale. Plus, you get regular updates from Broadsword. You get story beats in 7.5 and 7.6, seasonal events, and Galactic Season 9 just around the corner. And lastly, the 64-bit client update means it runs way smoother on modern rigs. Now let's talk about the not-so-good parts of the game. The combat does feel very old school. Maybe if they added more combat options and animations to make the action more impactful, then this can greatly improve the gameplay. Another thing is that the post-class finale content feels less personal. And lastly, the updates are smaller and less frequent than big-budget MMOs. Now, community-wise, it is smaller but active. You'll still find guild recruiting, PvP matches popping during peak hours, and a thriving cosmetic trading scene. Here's the what if that keeps me up at night. If Star Wars The Old Republic had stayed purely a story platform with new class arcs every year, we could have had 8 Mass Effect level series running in parallel inside one MMO. But MMOs need repeatable group content to survive, so Star Wars The Old Republic had to balance story with raids, PvP, and progression systems. And sometimes that balance worked. Sometimes it watered down what made it special. Still, in a world where the Knights of the Old Republic remake is in limbo and Star Wars single-player games drop every few years, Star Wars The Old Republic might be the best way to experience the Old Republic lore right now. The fact that it's alive, it's still playable, and still getting new content, it's pretty much a miracle. So is it a forgotten masterpiece or a failed experiment? Honestly, it might need that last push for it to pop off once again. As an MMO, Star Wars The Old Republic never revolutionized the endgame, but as a living Star Wars RPG anthology with great writing, memorable companions, real choices, in a galaxy you can live in, it's still one of a kind, especially for Star Wars fans out there. I'd say in 2025, this game is still worth trying, especially if you're a big Star Wars fan like I am, and also if you value stories over spreadsheets. If you've ever played the game, let me know what was your favorite class story, and did you choose the light side or the dark side? Sound off in the comments down below, and if you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more updates. Once again, it's been me, Elaine, and I'll see you guys in the next one.